In March 2011, the body of 34-year-old Emily Harris was found in a wooded area near her home in Durham, North Carolina. An investigation uncovered the shocking web of betrayal and jealousy between Emily, her husband, Derek Harris, and their close friends Jack and Monica Rutherford. In late 2010, a series of secrets began to unravel in Durham's affluent community, setting off a chain of events that would ultimately lead to tragedy. Durham, in the 2008, was the type of town where neighbors waved hello from their porches, the streets were lined with oak trees, and the smell of freshly cut grass lingered in the air. It was a close-knit community where everyone seemed to know one another. But in reality, many secrets hid behind the manicured lawns and polished front doors. Among the town's affluent residents were Jack and Monica Rutherford, a couple in their mid-30s who seemed to have it all. They lived in a sprawling brick home in one of Durham's most desirable neighborhoods. Jack, a charismatic real estate agent, had built a small empire by selling million-dollar homes, earning the trust and admiration of the community. Monica, equally admired, owned a boutique downtown where she sold high-end clothing and accessories. To outsiders, the Rutherfords embodied perfection. At community events, they were the life of the party. Jack often charmed guests with his quick wit, while Monica dazzled with her impeccable fashion sense and warm demeanor. But behind the smiles and laughter, their marriage was less picture-perfect than it seemed. Over the years, the pressures of maintaining their ideal image had taken a toll. Jack's long hours in real estate meant many lonely nights for Monica, who filled her time managing the boutique and attending social functions alone. Though they still shared a bed and exchanged affectionate gestures in public, their emotional connection had started to fade. Across town, Derek and Emily Harris lived a quieter life in a modest home. Derek was a tech consultant who spent long hours in front of his computer, while Emily, a freelance writer, worked from home, crafting articles for lifestyle magazines. They were in their late 30s, married for over a decade, and had settled into a routine that, to them, felt more like cohabitation than a marriage. Emily often longed for the spark they had in their early years, but Derek's introverted nature and obsession with work left her feeling isolated. Emily was the kind of woman who craved connection. She poured her emotions into her writing, often penning essays about love, loss, and the complexities of relationships. While her articles resonated with readers across the country, they did little to bridge the growing gap in her own marriage. Derek, though not a bad man, lacked the emotional depth Emily needed. He thought providing for her financially was enough, not realizing how much she yearned for conversation, affection, and intimacy. The two couples met at a neighborhood barbecue in September 2008, a casual gathering organized by a mutual friend. Jack and Monica immediately stood out with their charm, drawing people in effortlessly. Derek and Emily, more reserved, hovered near the grill, exchanging polite small talk with neighbors. When Jack introduced himself to Derek, the two men struck up a conversation about real estate and technology, discovering shared interests that laid the groundwork for a budding friendship. Meanwhile, Monica and Emily bonded over a shared love for fashion and books. The Rutherfords' outgoing nature drew the Harrises out of their shells, and soon the couples were spending time together regularly. Over the next year, the couple's friendship deepened. They hosted dinners, went on double dates, and even vacationed together once in the summer 2009. But it was Jack and Monica who introduced the Harrises to a secret side of their lives, a swinger lifestyle they kept hidden from their social circle. For Emily and Derek, who had been struggling to reignite their marriage, the idea was both shocking and intriguing. What began as curiosity soon turned into participation. And by the end of the 2009, the four had entered into an unconventional arrangement. By 2010, the dynamics between the two couples began to shift in ways none of them could have anticipated. While the swinging arrangement initially brought excitement, it also brought complications. Behind closed doors, Jack and Emily grew closer, their connection deepening into something far more intimate than they had intended. Their encounters became secretive, no longer part of the agreed-upon rules of their arrangement. Emily found in Jack the emotional connection she had longed for, while Jack was drawn to Emily's vulnerability and creativity, qualities that were absent in his increasingly strained marriage to Monica. Unbeknownst to them, Monica and Derek had also formed their own bond. Monica, who had grown tired of Jack's absences and emotional distance, found comfort in Derek's quiet and steady presence. Derek, meanwhile, was drawn to Monica's confidence and warmth, which filled the void left by his emotionally distant marriage to Emily. The relationships within the group became a tangled web of desire and betrayal, each person unaware of the full extent of what was happening. The situation reached a breaking point in May 2010 when Emily discovered she was pregnant. The news, which should have been joyful, filled her with dread. She had no way of knowing whether the baby was Jack's or Derek's. The weight of the secret was too much for her to bear alone, so she confided in Monica during a quiet afternoon at the boutique. Monica listened intently as Emily shared the news, her voice trembling with fear and uncertainty. Emily explained that she hadn't told Derek or Jack yet, and wasn't sure if she ever could. She spoke of her guilt, her confusion, and her fear of what this revelation might do to their already fragile relationships. To Emily's surprise, Monica appeared calm, too calm. She offered words of reassurance, suggesting that Emily take her time to figure things out. But beneath Monica's composed exterior, a storm was brewing. The thought of Emily carrying Jack's child ignited a fire of jealousy and rage. It wasn't just about the pregnancy. It was about the betrayal. Emily's confession confirmed what Monica had long suspected, that her husband's feelings for Emily went beyond mere physical attraction. Over the next few weeks, Monica's demeanor changed subtly. She became distant during the group's gatherings, her usual warmth replaced by a cold detachment. She began scrutinizing Jack's every move, searching for signs of the affair she now knew existed. The betrayal consumed her thoughts, and the once polished facade of the perfect wife began to crack. By June 2010, Monica's jealousy reached a breaking point. She couldn't stop imagining Emily and Jack together, couldn't escape the thought of them creating a life that should have been hers. The betrayal cut deep, and her resentment festered with each passing day. Yet Monica kept her feelings hidden, knowing that any confrontation would unravel the delicate balance that held their lives together. Monica's outward calm masked the turmoil within, but it was only a matter of time before her emotions spilled over. What began as a secret affair had set off a chain of events that none of them could control. The pregnancy, once a source of potential joy, became a ticking time bomb, threatening to destroy everything. What happened next would change all of their lives forever. On the cold, damp night of March 3, 2011, the stillness of the wooded area near Durham's Briarwood Estates was shattered by an unspeakable act of violence. Emily Harris's lifeless body lay crumpled in a shallow grave, hastily concealed by leaves and dirt. Her face bore the marks of a brutal attack, her once bright future extinguished in an act of rage. The killer had struck with a heavy object, leaving behind a scene that spoke of deep anger and personal motive. Emily's tragic end would soon unravel a tangled web of secrets and betrayal. It was March 4th, 2011, at dawn, when the body was discovered. A jogger, who often ran through the wooded trails, noticed the disturbed ground and a faint metallic smell lingering in the morning air. The scene was haunting. Emily's pale hand partially exposed, as if reaching for help that never came. The Durham Police Department was alerted immediately, and by the 8:30 a.m., Detective Claire Jensen, a seasoned investigator with a reputation for solving the toughest cases, arrived with her team. The quiet stillness of the woods now buzzed with the activity of forensic experts and officers. The brutality of the crime struck Jensen instantly. This was not random. This was personal. Emily Harris's death sent shock waves through the community. News of her murder spread quickly, and with it came speculation about who could have committed such an act. Emily was known for her gentle nature, her passion for writing, and her recent struggles in her marriage to Derek Harris. But what the community didn't know was the secret life Emily had led, one filled with hidden desires and dangerous entanglements. Her relationships were far more complex than they appeared on the surface. Derek Harris was the first person the police questioned. His reaction to the news of Emily's death had been one of visible shock and devastation. Friends and family described him as a man broken by grief, unable to comprehend how his wife could meet such a tragic end. When detectives arrived at the Harris home that evening, they found Derek sitting in the living room, surrounded by half-empty coffee cups and tissue-strewn furniture. He appeared distraught, his hands trembling as he answered their questions. Derek told the police he had been working late at his office the night Emily disappeared, preparing a report for a tech client. He provided the names of colleagues who could confirm his alibi, and even shared time-stamped emails sent from his work account. His responses were cooperative, but his grief was palpable. He spoke of his last interaction with Emily, a brief conversation about dinner plans, and how he had no idea that would be the last time he saw her alive. Despite Derek's outward cooperation, the detectives couldn't ignore the cracks in his story. Emily's friends had mentioned the strain in their marriage, and Derek's withdrawn nature raised questions about whether he had harbored resentment toward his wife. While his alibi seemed solid on the surface, the detectives knew that appearances could be deceiving. They noted his responses carefully, planning to corroborate every detail. Jack Rutherford's turn in the interrogation chair came just days later. On the March 8, 2011, He was called to the Durham Police Department, where detectives began to peel back the layers of his seemingly perfect life. Jack arrived wearing a crisp suit, his demeanor calm and collected. To an outsider, he appeared composed, but to the detectives, his controlled behavior hinted at someone with much to hide. Jack initially described his relationship with Emily as friendly, emphasizing the connection between their two families. He avoided eye contact when asked more probing questions about the nature of their interactions. The detectives pressed him, aware of rumors swirling around the community about his closeness to Emily. Still, Jack denied any impropriety, claiming he and Emily were nothing more than acquaintances brought together by their spouses' friendship. However, the investigation soon revealed damning evidence. Emily's phone, retrieved during the forensic sweep of the crime scene, contained incriminating text messages exchanged between her and Jack. The messages spoke of clandestine meetings and emotional confessions, proof of an affair that Jack had gone to great lengths to conceal. When confronted with this evidence, Jack's calm facade began to crack. His answers grew shorter, and his attempts to deflect suspicion became more desperate. While he continued to deny involvement in Emily's murder, the detectives left the interview convinced that Jack knew more than he was letting on. As the investigation progressed, attention turned to Monica Rutherford, Jack's wife. On the surface, Monica had played the role of the grieving friend, offering condolences to Derek and expressing shock over Emily's death. But beneath her poised exterior, Monica harbored her own secrets that would soon come to light. On the March 10, 2011, witnesses came forward claiming they had seen Monica's car parked near the wooded area where Emily's body was found on the night of her disappearance. The sighting contradicted Monica's alibi, which placed her at home organizing inventory for her boutique. When detectives questioned her again, Monica's responses became evasive. She claimed she had no reason to be near the woods and suggested the witnesses must have been mistaken. The discovery of Monica's presence near the crime scene added a chilling new dimension to the investigation. Monica's friendship with Emily had always seemed genuine, but now the detectives began to question whether jealousy or betrayal could have motivated her actions. Her cold detachment during the questioning stood in stark contrast to Derek's grief and Jack's nervous energy. It was as if Monica had prepared herself for this moment, carefully crafting her responses to deflect suspicion. The days following Emily's murder were a whirlwind of revelations. The tangled relationships between the Harrises and the Rutherfords painted a picture of betrayal and deceit, one that left detectives grappling with multiple suspects and motives. Each interview brought new questions, and with each question came a deeper understanding of the complex dynamics that had led to Emily's tragic end. As the investigation unfolded, the residents of Durham watched anxiously, their once quiet community now the center of a chilling murder mystery. Who among them was capable of such violence? And how far would they go to protect their secrets? The answers remained shrouded in the woods where Emily Harris's life had been taken, waiting to be uncovered. The town of Durham was still grappling with the shock of Emily Harris's brutal death when tragedy struck again. On the morning of the March 15, 2011, the police received a frantic call from a neighbor. Derek Harris, Emily's grieving husband, had been found dead in his garage. The scene was hauntingly different from Emily's murder, yet the emotional weight was just as heavy. Derek's body was slumped against the cold cement floor, a single gunshot wound to the back of his head. There were no signs of forced entry, no struggle. It was clinical, precise, and chillingly deliberate. Detectives quickly arrived, their boots crunching against the gravel driveway as they approached the garage. Detective Claire Jensen, who had been leading the investigation into Emily's murder, now faced the grim reality of a second death in less than 2 weeks. The method of the killing, execution style, suggested one thing: Derek had known his killer. This wasn't a random act, it was personal. The timing of Derek's murder couldn't be ignored. Just as the investigation into Emily's death was beginning to reveal cracks in Monica Rutherford's alibi, Derek was silenced. The detectives immediately questioned whether someone was trying to bury the truth before it could surface. By the March 16, 2011, forensic teams began piecing together the events leading up to Derek's murder. His home showed no signs of a break-in. His wallet and phone were untouched, eliminating robbery as a motive. The garage, dimly lit and cluttered with tools and old furniture, seemed eerily ordinary, save for the blood pooling beneath Derek's lifeless body. It was this ordinariness that made the scene all the more unsettling. Neighbors described hearing nothing unusual the night before. Derek had been seen earlier in the evening, taking out the trash and exchanging pleasantries with the family next door. To them, he had appeared somber but composed, a man trying to navigate the loss of his wife. Yet, within hours, he was dead. Detectives noted that there were no signs of struggle, no defensive wounds. This meant Derek had likely trusted the person who had pulled the trigger. The calculated nature of the crime suggested a professional hand, someone who had done this before. The question now was, who had ordered it? And why? By March 18, 2011, the investigation into Derek's murder began to intersect with the ongoing case of Emily's death. While Derek had been forthcoming during his initial questioning about Emily, his reserved demeanor had hinted at unspoken truths. Detectives now wondered if Derek had known more about Emily's affair with Jack Rutherford than he had let on. Could he have been planning to expose the affair, and had that decision cost him his life? Attention turned once again to Monica and Jack Rutherford. Monica's unraveling alibi for Emily's murder had already placed her under intense scrutiny. Jack, on the other hand, had maintained an outward calm, but detectives had always suspected he was hiding something. The timing of Derek's death, coming just as Monica's guilt was becoming more apparent, seemed too coincidental to ignore. The turning point came on March 20th, 2011, when forensic evidence directly linked Monica to Emily's murder. Fibers from the interior of Monica's car matched those found at the wooded burial site. This was the confirmation detectives needed to confront Monica. When brought in for questioning, Monica's composed exterior began to crack. The pressure of the investigation, coupled with the weight of her own guilt, finally became too much. Monica broke down, confessing that she had killed Emily in a fit of jealousy. The revelation was as shocking as it was heartbreaking. Monica admitted that Emily's pregnancy and the uncertainty of whether Jack was the father had pushed her over the edge. She couldn't bear the thought of her husband fathering another woman's child, especially Emily, whom she had once considered a friend. Her confession was raw, filled with anger, regret, and despair. Yet even as Monica confessed to Emily's murder, questions about Derek's death remained unanswered. Monica vehemently denied any involvement, insisting she had no reason to harm him. This denial, combined with the execution-style nature of the killing, led detectives to a chilling conclusion. Derek's murder was a separate crime, orchestrated by someone else entirely. On the March 25, 2011, detectives uncovered the truth about Derek's murder. Financial records revealed that Jack Rutherford had made a series of suspicious cash withdrawals in the weeks leading up to Derek's death. Further investigation uncovered a connection to a known hitman, a man with a history of carrying out contract killings. When confronted with the evidence, Jack's carefully constructed facade crumbled. Detectives learned that Jack had feared Derek would expose the affair between him and Emily, tarnishing his reputation and destroying his business. Desperate to protect himself, Jack had taken the ultimate step, hiring someone to silence Derek permanently. The revelation sent shockwaves through the community. Jack Rutherford, the charming real estate mogul, had not only betrayed his wife, but had also orchestrated a cold-blooded murder to cover his tracks. The trial in 2012 was a media spectacle. Every detail of the Rutherfords' secret lives and the events leading up to the murders was laid bare in court. Monica's defense team portrayed her as a woman driven to the edge by betrayal, painting a picture of a scorned wife who acted out of jealousy and despair. Jack's defense, meanwhile, attempted to deflect blame onto the hitman, claiming Jack had never intended for Derek to be killed. The jury, however, saw through the defenses. Monica was found guilty of Emily's murder and sentenced to life in prison. Jack was convicted of conspiracy to commit murder for his role in Derek's death and received a 25-year sentence. The hitman, whose testimony helped seal Jack's fate, also faced justice. The aftermath of the trial left an indelible mark on Durham. The once respected Rutherford family became a cautionary tale of how secrets and betrayal can spiral into tragedy. Friends and neighbors who had once admired Jack and Monica struggled to reconcile the people they thought they knew with the monsters revealed in court. For the families of Emily and Derek Harris, the verdicts brought some measure of closure, but not peace. The scars of their loss remained, a painful reminder of the lives destroyed by jealousy, fear, and greed. The events of March 2011 would haunt Durham for years to come, a dark chapter in a town that had once prided itself on its southern charm and close-knit community. The scandal left Durham's elite in shock. The swinger lifestyle, hidden behind the facade of suburban normalcy, became a cautionary tale of how secrets can destroy lives. The child Emily carried was later confirmed to be Derek's, but the baby was never born, leaving a permanent void in what could have been a brighter future. This story remains a haunting reminder of how passion, betrayal, and jealousy can escalate into unimaginable violence. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on our daily updates. And you can check out another insane case we have, where a doctor's secret affair with 3 young women that ends in obsession and murder. Make sure to check it out and let us know your thoughts in the comment section.